Now, on the last topic of the show, we're not going to do the sleeper team. We're going to wait till next episode. Brandon Aiyuk requested a trade. We've known that this has been brewing for a while. The Niners and Aiyuk have been at a stagnate. Aiyuk wants money. The 49ers are not willing to meet the asking price, and things have boiled up to the point that he is now requesting a trade. What do you think about this, and what would be your team that you would want to see Aiyuk go to?
There's a lot of teams I think that could use him. The rumor is Washington. He's putting up TikToks and everything of him watching Commanders film is pretty hilarious, not going to lie. But a team I would like to see him go to, realistically, because we talked about the Ravens on the whistle video, but I don't know how realistic that is. I would like to see potentially, I was going to say Indy, but you just drafted A.D. Mitchell, so maybe that's not a great spot. Commanders would be really cool. I know the Drew wants to shout the Denver Broncos for whatever reason. He thinks Denver Broncos could get there. But I really do think if Baltimore wants to be serious about winning a championship, I think this is the type of move that gets them there. Now, would San Francisco look at Baltimore as a potential Super Bowl matchup and say, I think I'm straight there? I think Dallas is a similar position, especially being in the NFC. Any team really that is in that world where they can match up with San Francisco in the Super Bowl, that'll probably be a tiebreaker. If you have an offer from Washington or another team that you're expecting to be middle of the pack, the Colts, for example, that is another team, Patriots, Steelers, that have been in these talks. But a team that he could go to and actually make a difference that I would like to see would be Baltimore. So you have a real passing offense, because right now, Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, they're solid contributors. But when you compare them to the landscape of the NFL, when you're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, the Houston Texans, the San Francisco 49ers, these teams that have like 3 to 4 to 5 options offensively, they just don't stack up. I mean, Zay Flowers is like the 4th receiver on some of those teams. So if Baltimore would be aggressive enough, which they haven't in the past, that's a team that could go out there and really make a move, because I felt like last year in the championship game, they were right there with Kansas City. Defensively, they were locking up for a good portion of that game, to the point where they were so bad for 3 quarters that in the 4th quarter, they still had a chance to win it. But offensively, they could not get it going. Of course, Zay Flowers fumbles at the goal line. Great play by the defense. But if they can make a move where they could win consistently on the outside, Brandon Aiyuk is the perfect dude to do that.
I'm between two teams. I think Brandon Aiyuk is either going to get traded. If he does get traded, it's going to be to the Steelers, because they need to fill out their wide receiver room after losing Deontay Johnson. George Pickens is a great player, but outside of that, they don't have anybody. But I don't want to see him in Pittsburgh, because I know what Arthur Smith's offense is. I know what Russell Wilson is. I don't want to see Aiyuk in that offense. It's not going to maximize his skill set. The other team, I feel like they will maximize him, is the LA Chargers. He's a great run blocker, so he fits in with their run-first scheme, and they need a true number 1 wide receiver after cutting Keenan Allen and cutting Mike Williams. They only have Vlad McConkey, Josh Palmer, and Quentin Johnson and DJ Chark, and Quentin Johnson is basically out of the rotation because he's just not a good player. If they get Brandon Aiyuk, I think it makes them a playoff team in the AFC, and I think Aiyuk can have his best statistical season. Granted that there isn't a lot of options to go around. I think the Chargers need a reliable guy who they can count on. And Jim Harbaugh, we know he has never had a losing season in the NFL. He's a winner. And I think in order for him to win, he needs a guy like Aiyuk. With that being said, I don't think Aiyuk is getting traded.
What percent chance do you put?
Yeah, I think
it's low too. I think it's like 30%.
They said they're not trading him.
Yeah, the percentage chance I think it is like 15%. Aiyuk and Purdy have the best connection on the team. Aiyuk runs the toughest routes. He has the toughest assignments. If they don't have him in the offense, in the regular season, I think they'll be fine. They can be able to do their gadgety stuff, their misdirection, and still have a successful offense. But in those tough matchups when you have great corners that are playing you man-to-man, Aiyuk is desperately needed, because we've seen Debo. He's just not the type of receiver. So I think they shouldn't trade Aiyuk, but if they do, Chargers, Steelers are my pick, and I think that's one of the teams he would go to, one of those two.
I like Baltimore. I do think, Lamar needs another guy. I was feeling the Chargers. That was definitely one of the teams I was thinking about. I don't know the trades, the capital situation for these two teams that I really think need him. Also, before I wanted to say, of course I would say Buffalo. Him in Buffalo, Josh Allen, fucking movie. But the two teams I think really do need him, and I think he would, help them the most, is I think Carolina is one of them. I think with Bryce Young out there, he doesn't really have a number one guy, and I think we've seen over the past, like in our era, you pair a guy who's on the rise with a star wide receiver, and they just blossom. We saw it with Diggs and Josh Allen, and I think with Jettas and Kirk Cousins, they had their connection. Like, you just pair that guy with another guy. Even DJ Moore, he got to Chicago. You start force feeding him. He had his best year. So I think Carolina's a team that should be thinking about this, because Brandon Aiyuk, and I don't think he is traded either, but he can hit the market, can't go to free agency, can continuously axe out. Another team I would say is also the Giants. I think that's another team who, they just drafted Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors has all the talent in the world, but I also still think you need another guy. I think Hyatt and Wandell are cool third guys, but I think you still need a 1A, 1B type of player, and I think Malik Neighbors will be a number one soon. But why not have another one? In Philly, you see they had Devonta Smith. They went out and got A.J. Brown. Now you have a number one, number two, but Smith can be a one at times or during the game sometimes. Like, he can have his breakout moments. And then you see with Miami, they have a one, they have a two, but at times Waddle can be a one. He can break out, do his thing. So it's always nice to have that second guy, and I think when they drafted Malik Neighbors, you kind of solidified one spot. Why not go make a move for whoever quarterback you intend to bring in, and have your two wide receivers there. So
I
was just saying, I think the Giants and the Panthers are teams that need it the most. I think Baltimore doesn't necessarily need it. I think the Chargers also are one of the three teams that need it.
It'd be icing for them. For those other teams, he'd be the cake.
And the Chargers for sure, because I think in the AFC, like, Herbert needs help, and you didn't already let everybody go with respect. You had to, but you need another guy to pair. Like, he's not Mahomes. Not everybody's Mahomes. So you need another guy to kind of pair with Herbert to kind of make shit go.
If we're going the young route, the rookie quarterback or rookie deal, I think New England's a good spot too. I think Drake May, New England overall, the talent isn't there this year, so I get why people are sleeping on them. And realistically, even a ceiling for this team is probably like 5 or 6 wins. But Brandon Aiyuk going there, you have DeMario Douglas, who I think showed some flashes second half of last season. You drafted Jalen Polk in the second round. You drafted Baker on day 3, I believe, in the 4th round. They have some weapons there. They're all super young, though. So to pair Drake May with just all young receivers, you do have like Kendrick Bourne and Devontae Parker still there, I believe. But guys that I'm actually excited to get on the field, especially Bourne coming off the ACL. If you could pair Aiyuk with these young receivers, I feel a lot more comfortable with Drake May's development then, because those guys have potential, especially a guy like DeMario Douglas. He's still smaller. He's a slot guy. He's not someone that, I don't know, is going to grow into the wide receiver one in this team. Jalen Polk, all of these guys, we just don't really know enough yet. But if you get Aiyuk, that's when you could see the growth of Drake May, because I don't want to go into next season and then this is really for any rookie quarterback, but to have the question is this quarterback not performing, or is the system around him just not enough?
What about Washington?
Washington, yeah. I mean, Washington's like the hot name, so I think that's fair too. But even so, they have Terry McLaurin there.
That'd be crazy.
Jahan Dotson maybe could bounce back. But I just don't like going into my second year of having a rookie quarterback, second, third year, whatever, and worry, is he not good enough, or does he just not have the offensive line, the weapons, the coaching staff? I want to know for sure he's that guy. And putting Drake May in a situation where it's basically figure it out with all rookie wide receivers, first-time play callers and all of this stuff coming over, it's a bit tricky.
I feel like with the Panthers, that'd be awesome. Deontay Johnson and Aiyuk, those are two of the best route runners on the same team. I think it's a little bit unrealistic just because they just traded for Deontay Johnson.
And they drafted Xavier Leggett.
They sent a lot for him, though.
It was only like
no, they didn't.
It was like a fifth round pick or something.
And I feel the same way with the Commanders, just because they pay McLaurin a lot of money. I don't know if they're going to pay another high-priced wide receiver a lot of money. The thing is, the Chargers, to me, have the easiest path to trade for Brandon Aiyuk because they have 2 edge rushers making a lot of money, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Bosa, we know, has his injury concerns. He's very injury prone. He's not the most durable. You look at the Niners, their biggest need is an edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa.
That'd be fine.
That would be really cool. If they pair the Bosa brothers, you trade Aiyuk, the Chargers now trade Joey Bosa, so that contract is off their books.
But that's basically
they can pay Aiyuk.
That's basically saying the Niners, we would rather have Joey Bosa in his contract than Brandon Aiyuk and giving you a deal. Although Aiyuk would probably be more expensive in the long run for sure. But if you're just looking in this 1 or 2 year window, yeah. But if you're giving up Joey Bosa, I mean, if you trade Aiyuk straight up, you're getting a first and second round pick probably. Yeah. That's the type of package I would expect back.
Yeah, the thing is, it's really on them if they want to just lean in more into the defense or if they want to lean in more to the offense. Joey Bosa after this year doesn't have guaranteed money left, so they can cut him. But I think best case scenario for the Niners is just to re-sign Aiyuk.
Figure it out.
Because he is the most valuable amongst him,
confused. Yeah, I'm
Debo, and
confused on
Kittle.
what's going on.
He's the guy they got to keep long term.